And here's another one that I was mad about. I didn't see the match, but really, does Charlotte Flair really need the belt? Does she need to beat Rhea Ripley, who they did absolutely nothing with? Really, they did nothing with her.
But they moved Konnan.
Bro, she's like Kevin Cross. She's a star just standing there doing nothing.
But you don't know what happened. You don't know what happened last night then. Because Charlotte lost the belt to the superhero girl, Nikki Ash.
Oh my God!
She cashed in the Money in the Bank at the end of the show, man, and she's the champion. So that's all they moved it from Rhea to Charlotte to Nikki Ash.
That's brutal.
Like I said, bro. Like I said, the show is being written for the people that watch Romper Room, and like we're just out of the loop. Like we don't care. It's like the Romper Room mentality crowd. That's who they're writing the show for. So let's make the superhero goofy character the champion. You know. So I mean, it's. But the funniest thing is and I was thinking about this too. I was like, why does Raw, specifically Raw, which is one of 3 shows under the WWE banner, why does Raw constantly make these mistakes? Why is it that these mistakes are on SmackDown? Why is it not on NXT? And then I'm just wondering, and they don't even make these mistakes on AEW, right?
Right.
And I was watching, it's like, bro, it's like Raw easily, of all the 4 shows you can consume each week, by far the worst.
Right.
And it's not even close. There's not even, okay. But here's the thing. It's an only 3-hour show. And I just wonder if these people go into that room each week creatively and they're literally having this defeatist give up attitude before they get there. It's like, we got to fill 3 hours this week. How are we going to, and they have there's no creative impulse or excitement or any energy in that thing. It's like that show is exhausted to where they can't even figure out, we've got new people debuting. Let's try to push them and create a big character like they did in the NXT.
Well, not to mention that, and I've heard this from people that I've been running into recently that work there as writers, not to mention the fact that you could be working on something which you think is very good, and Vince goes, that, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And you're like, so everything you're writing, you're like, let's see if he likes it. You don't put your whole heart into it because Vince may not like it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
you're
that's
writing for the audience. Everybody said the audience have won. That's the most, the biggest phrase. But why is SmackDown so much better?
Because I don't think Vince is all over SmackDown.
What if he is?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that he.
I know, but we don't know that. What if he's in charge at the top?
That's a great question. Why would you your flagship show? Why is that worse than the other? Because Meltzer comes on here and he said this at least 3 or 4 times. Oh, the reason it's bad, it's a 3-hour show. Well, all 3 hours are bad. It ain't like 2 hours are good and 1 is bad.
Right. Yeah. It's like you can't book you can't book 30 minutes worth of good TV.
Right.
Something we can remember. It's like,
right. And the worst part is they'll double down. They'll double down on stupid like
Konnan.
Lily.
That's what I'm saying. Right. They will either Cross is going to come back and destroy Hardy, and we'll be like, oh, okay, or they're going to put Jeff over him a few weeks in a row with cheating. They're going to do it again just to push it in people's faces. I wouldn't be surprised.
Doubt it.
Yeah,
I
think Cross will lose again to him.
So much money that he is just trolling the wrestling fans.
What an idiot!
Because this is the thing. What if he's this much of an egomaniac that he is literally just going to do the opposite of what the fans want?
Yeah.
Every time.
I don't understand how that is in any way good business.
That reminds me of when
it's bad for business. No, I didn't. It's bad for business. It's bad for morale. It's bad for the bottom line. It's a reason why a lot of people aren't going to re-sign with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like he's really digging his own hole.
But honestly, and I'm going to put the disclaimer on this.
Right.
This might be the beginning of an angle and stuff. We're literally 1 week. We're looking at this, and
right. I know. Right.
I'm saying, but that first week.
But that first week was brutal.
So it's like, okay, and like I'm saying, so your show did. 2 weeks ago, your show did a record low. It's been back up since audience have been back. But like, do you actually think that what you did with Karrion Kross this week? That when we hear he's coming up on the next segment next week, the fans are going to be interested to tune in, or they're going to tune out. And like what you did with him this week is like you're not interested in seeing anything this guy does. That's what the perception to me is. So
another thing will be tonight what NXT tells us. If they talk about this, if they carry it over, if they pretend it just happened in another world, it didn't happen. We're just going to talk about Cross Joe. We're not going to bring up Jeff.
They should. No. I bet you they do. Okay. I bet you they do talk about it because one of the things was I read an interview that Hunter did. That they interviewed Hunter, and they were talking about the back and forth that Kerry and Cross and Adam Cole had in the ring, and it was kind of thing. And Hunter said it was good for business because it created buzz. And so that's I can see that. So here's the thing, I'm hoping. Okay, because NXT seems to be different from the Raw thing, and then Hunter, that they would try to rehabilitate the situations. Like they presented them with a creative situation. Now, all right, our champion is undefeated. He's in a big angle with Samoa Joe. They were probably building up to NXT TakeOver SummerSlam weekend in Vegas. Sure. And you just got beaten by the guy that's probably lost more matches in the last 2 months than anybody on that show.
Right.
It's like, so what do we do? And I would hope that they realize this and think, okay, we can turn this into a creative situation, makes interesting TV out of it. So we'll see. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing you got to think about is how long is he going to stay in NXT now that he's been called up to Raw?
Right.
Yeah, they're never what I would have debuted him like that. Bro, you know what it reminds me of? You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the day that I was in Lucha Underground and Ray's very first match, his debut match, they had him lose with Monster Stash. And I was like, who the is this guy that Ray's losing to? You know what I'm saying? Brutal.
Or
that's what we call monsters. There's monster. I used to call monster staff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I used to tell you were correct. And you just
Or when Hogan and Bischoff.
Jeff Cobb couldn't. You see Jeff Cobb over in Japan right now, right?
Yeah.
He's killing it over there, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine if they had let him keep the Monster Stash gimmick and he was doing like Vader 2020.
Right.
Because that's what he looks like. That's what he works like. Yeah.
But that real quick, that reminded
you weren't a big fan of his name, though. Yeah.
That reminded me of when Hogan and Bischoff took over in Impact, and Samoa Joe, again, to bring back to him, was like the big destroyer submission machine, and they ran that. What was their championship? The Bound for Glory series. And you looked at the rankings, and Joe was like 0-16. Like he lost every match in the tournament. And you're like, what are they doing to Samoa Joe? Holy shit!
Bro, when people in charge of a perception problem, it's like, what are you going to do? You just can't, So I just hope. Okay, let's start the show.
Let me throw this real quick because, I always say that we use the products. I just got this delicious little thing here, Focus.
Yeah.
Which is the mixed berry, 0 calories, been drinking it.
Yeah.
And look how sweet, bro. Have you gotten yours, Disco?
The Focus?
Yeah.
No, I'm doing a staycation for 2 days here.
Yeah, it's at your. I'm sure it's at your place.
It probably is. Yeah.
Okay, so see here, Di.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
You know what I've been drinking? Okay, let me tell you something. I've never been an energy
and I just
drink
want
guy.
everybody to know this is very, very nice.
Conan,
let me tell you
I
something.
drank all 6 of them already, so that'll tell you know what I mean.
Yo, what up? This is Konnan, and I host Keeping It 100. My co-host Disco Inferno. Unfortunately,
well, I'd say you're my co-host.
Listen, every Thursday here on Spreaker, we talk pro wrestling, sports, movies, music, TV, pop culture, and some politics. It's everything the rest of the pro wrestling podcasts are not.
Tune in to hear myself, the superior one, educate and inform.
Tune in to hear me bury Disco.
That's very disrespectful.
Join us every Thursday on Spreaker and keep it 100. Boom!